Welcome to the Irregular Unicorn. In this video I'm going to show you how I designed and created my own stencils for this wall behind me. Something you can do yourself very easily using some very basic tools. And so, without further ado, let's get started. I started by just doing some rough sketches of things that I might want to incorporate into the design. From there, I drew out some grid lines to help me to proportion and space everything correctly, and then I just drew out my design onto the grid. And then I just went over my design with a black felt pen just to darken up all the lines to make it easier to trace over later on. And now, using some plastic Mylar sheeting, I just taped that in place with some masking tape over the top of my design and then traced over the whole thing with a black marker pen. You need to make sure that you leave some little bridges in your design that hold the whole stencil together, and you'll see in just a moment what I mean by that. The bits I've coloured in green are the bridges, so they will act as joins that hold the stencil together, so these won't get cut out. Here I'm doing a second stencil which will contain all of the little features and details, and this will essentially be used to layer over the top of the base stencil. And I've just drawn some guidelines in green just to help line everything up easier later. And now it's time to start cutting out the design, so you need to make sure you've got a heat-proof surface underneath. I'm just using a glass worktop saver. I'm using a pyrography tool to cut out my stencil because I already have one to hand, but you can just use a hot knife, which I know you can get quite reasonably from either a craft store or online. Or alternatively, you can take the more tedious route and just use a craft knife. You'll notice I've just got a bit of brass wire wool that I'm using to clean the end of my tip. Because basically you'll get a lot of built up molten plastic on the end, so you'll have to just keep cleaning that off. And also, while I'm on the case, it is sensible to be wearing a suitable mask, as at the end of the day we're basically burning plastic and marker pen ink, neither of which are great to be breathing in. Once I'd finished cutting out my stencil, I then just secured it to the wall with some masking tape, and then it was time to start painting. To avoid getting any bleed out underneath your stencil, you want to make sure you remove as much paint from your brush as possible, so I'm just using some kitchen towel to do this. I applied my paint with a stippling motion, just working in small sections from top to bottom until the whole stencil was complete, and I just used a window scraper to help to press my stencil down. This can be quite time consuming, so I just spent my time listening to music and radio shows, and the time flew by and I actually really enjoyed myself. And now for the exciting but slightly nerve-wracking part, because this is where it may have gone wrong. It's time to remove the stencil from the wall. Once that was dry, I just layered over the top with my second stencil for all the little features and details, and this is the finished result. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see more from me, hit subscribe. And if you could give me a thumbs up or thumbs down and let me know what you think of this video. I'm planning on doing an exclusive video on how to turn your image into a graphic file which can then be used to print on things like wallpaper or fabric, or have cushions made like this one. And for those of you interested in my design, I will leave a link to my spoonflower store below as well. So thanks again, and I hope to see you very soon.